Every European capital has a reputation it can't shake. Paris is romance, Rome is antiquity, Barcelona is sangria, and a beach with your name on a wristband. And most visitors go home having seen almost none of the real city. Underneath is a 2,000-year-old Roman city, capital of a nation that speaks its own language, and the site of the strangest architectural explosion in modern Europe, a few decades around 1900, that produced more original buildings than most countries manage in 500 years. Barcelona is not Spain exactly. Ask anyone here. It's Catalonia's capital, a Mediterranean port rebuilding itself since Roman times. 24 hours can't cover a city this layered, but done right, it gives you Gaudi at his most extraordinary, the Gothic Quarter's oldest streets, tapas culture, and a stubborn identity all its own. I'm your travel Shifu. Today, 24 hours in the city Gaudi built, Picasso learned in, and Catalonia has defended for 300 years. 1. Must see the Sagrada Família, Gaudi's unfinished basilica, under construction since 1882, and, as of this year's centenary of his death, closer to finished than ever. Its tallest tower has now reached its full 172.5 meters, deliberately 1 meter shorter than Montjuic Hill, since Gaudi believed his creation shouldn't surpass God's. Inside, columns branch upward like a forest canopy under stained glass. Book-timed entry online, there's no ticket office. Standard entry runs around 26 euros, tower access closer to 40 euros, plus a small 2026 centenary surcharge. Then Park Güell, a failed housing development redeemed as one of the city's strangest, most joyful spaces. The mosaic lizard at the entrance, the serpentine-tiled bench, a market hall that looks like it grew rather than got built. The monumental zone needs a timed ticket. The rest is free. Shifu tip. Book Sagrada Família the moment your dates are set. 2026's centenary means slots sell out weeks out. Doing both Gaudi sites in a day. Do Park Güell first. Surprise story. The genius who died mistaken for a beggar. On June 7, 1926, Gaudi, 73, indifferent to his own appearance after decades on the basilica, was struck by a tram while walking to evening prayer. Mistaken for a homeless man, no taxi would carry him to hospital. He died 3 days later, unrecognized at first in a pauper's ward. Barcelona buried him, as he'd wished, in the crypt, the building he refused to leave. 2. Must do. The Gothic Quarter sits directly atop Roman Barcino, Cara del Coll, the old Jewish quarter on a street plan predating the Reconquista. Barcelona Cathedral keeps 13 white geese in its cloister, 1 for each year of the martyred saint it honors. Nearby, 4 Roman columns from the Temple of Augustus stand in a free, little-known courtyard. Passeig de Gràcia for the other Gaudi, Casa Batlló, bone-like balconies and a dragon-scale roof, and La Pedrera, his last civil work, rippling facade and surreal rooftop chimneys. Interiors cost 35 to 40 euros, so pick one if budget is tight. Shifu type. If you can only afford one, choose Casa Batlló. The blue-tiled lightwell is the most photographed non-Sagrada Familia interior in the city. Surprise story. The wall that remembers a massacre. Plaza. Sant Felipe Neri looks like the quietest square in the Gothic Quarter, until you notice the pockmarks scarring its church facade. On January 30th, 1938, Italian bombers supporting Franco dropped 2 bombs here, killing 42 people, including more than 20 children sheltering in the basement. Franco's regime blamed anarchists for decades. The truth surfaced only after democracy returned. 3. Yet tapas is a Spanish format, but Catalonia has its own ritual. The vermut, poured over ice with orange and an olive, drunk before Sunday lunch as a social institution. Pa amb tomaque, bread rubbed with tomato, oil, and salt, is the base note of half of Catalan cuisine at jamón ibérico and its lunch. Quimé and Quimé in Poble Sec, standing room only since 1914, builds montaditos from tinned seafood and cured meats. La Boqueria, off Las Ramblas, dates to the 13th century. Skip the tourist juice stalls for Bar Pinocchio, serving market workers since 1940. Real paella and fideuà, its noodle cousin, take 20 minutes to cook. A 5-minute version off a photo menu isn't the real thing. Shifu tip. Paella is lunch, not dinner. Made fresh for a minimum of 2, taking 20 to 30 minutes. A one-person paella served instantly is reheated. Order for the table and expect to wait. 4. Shop El Born, built on medieval trade streets for independent design, ceramics, leather, small Catalan labels around Carrer dels Flassaders. La Manuel Alpargatera has hand-stitched espadrilles since 1941. Dalí and Jackie Kennedy both had pairs made here. Passeig de Gràcia for the flagship end, including Loewe's Barcelona home, in a modernist Domènec I. Montaner building. Shops around La Boqueria sell vacuum-packed jamón ibérico, which clears EU customs easily. Shifu tip. Many shops close afternoons, roughly 2 to 4:30 p.m., and nearly everything but restaurants and chains closes Sundays. Shop mornings or early evenings. 5. Nightlife. Barcelona eats and drinks late. Dinner rarely starts before 9 p.m., leaving room for an aperitivo crawl first. A vermuteria in El Born or Gràcia, then cava and pintaxos. Bunkers del Carmel, Civil War gun emplacements above Gràcia, is the city's best sunset spot. No entry fee, no bar. Just a 360-degree view to the sea as the light goes gold over the Sagrada Família. For dancing, Razzmatazz in Poblenou is 5 clubs in one warehouse, running until 6 a.m. on weekends. For something calmer, rooftop bars along Avinguda del Paral·lel offer the skyline with a cocktail. Shifu tip. Bunkers del Carmel has no facilities and a steep, unlit walk down. Wear proper shoes and bring a torch. Surprise story. The bar that survived. Franco and never changed the sign. El Xampanyet opened in 1929 and has stayed in the same family through the Civil War, the Franco dictatorship that banned Catalan for 4 decades, and Barcelona's rise as a tourist city. When speaking Catalan in public could draw police attention, bars like this quietly kept the language alive, one small piece of Catalonia's long defense of its identity. 6. Arts. The Picasso Museum, across 5 medieval palaces on Carrer de Montcada, isn't the collection with his most famous works. It's the one that shows how he became Picasso, heaviest on his formative years spent in Barcelona. Fundació Joan Miró on Montjuïc, designed by his friend Josep Lluís Serra, holds the largest public collection of Miró's work anywhere, with one of the best views in the city from the terrace. The Palau de la Música Catalana, a UNESCO concert hall built 1905 to 08 by Domènec I. Montaner, is covered almost entirely in stained glass and mosaic, culminating in an inverted glass dome over the stage. Shifu tip. Book the Picasso Museum online. Same-day tickets often sell out by late morning. Entry is free Thursday evenings from 6 p.m. and the first Sunday of the month. Surprise story. The artist who never went home. Picasso arrived in Barcelona at 14 and spent his most formative years here, including at the Café Els Quatre Gats, still open today. He left for good in 1904, but always called the city formative. In 1963, while he refused to set foot in Franco's Spain as protest, Barcelona opened a museum built almost entirely from his own donations, arranged from exile. He never saw it in person, dying in 1973, having ensured his second city held one of the finest collections of his work anywhere. 7. Souvenir. Espadrilles from La Manuel Alpargatera, hand-stitched to order, a fraction of the fashion house price. Cava, made in Penedès using Champagne's traditional method. A good bottle of Recaredo or Gramona costs far less. Buy from a specialist shop, not the airport. Trencatus-style ceramics. The broken tile mosaic Gaudi made famous at Park Güell, from artisans across the Gothic Quarter and El Born. A Barça shirt, if you must, from Camp Nou, or the outlets on Passeig de Gràcia. Shifu tip. Skip the fridge magnets and bullfighting souvenirs on Las Ramblas. Bullfighting was banned in Catalonia in 2010, and locals see that imagery as Spanish, not Catalan. 8. Stay. Dream splurge. Hotel Casa Fuster, a 1911 modernist building by Domènech in Montaner, now a five-star hotel with a rooftop pool looking down the Xampanyet to the Sagrada Família. Mid-range, boutique hotels around Passeig de Gràcia, like Practic Rambla or Urban Trafalgar, a 10-minute walk from the Gothic Quarter. Smart budget, guest houses in El Raval or the Gothic Quarter, trading room size for the old city's street life. Shifu tip: stay in the Example or Gothic Quarter, not Barceloneta. Convenient on a map, but loud until late and a 20-minute walk from most of this list. 9. Not to do. Don't eat anywhere on Las Ramblas. Worth walking once for the history, but every restaurant on it exists for one-time tourist footfall. Walk one block off and the food improves. Don't call it Spanish without thinking. Catalonia has its own language, flag, and political history, and much of the population identifies as Catalan first. Don't skip booking the Sagrada Família. There's no ticket window and no reliable walk-up, especially in 2026's centenary year. Don't relax around your belongings. Barcelona has one of Europe's highest pickpocketing rates, on Las Ramblas, the metro, and the beach. Shifu tip: the metro covers most of this list, but the L3 line through the tourist core sees the most pickpocketing. Stay alert at Liceu, Sagrada Família, and Passeig de Gràcia. 10. The Shifu Map, 24-hour Barcelona round. Barcelona Map, Gothic Quarter at center, Example to the north, Montjuïc southwest, Barceloneta Beach east. Dawn, 6:30 a.m. Bunkers del Carmel for sunrise over the city. 8 a.m. Coffee and pastry at a corner cafe in Gràcia. 9 a.m. Sagrada Família, timed entry. Allow 90 minutes. 11 a.m. Park Güell, Mosaic Terrace, Market Hall, views. Allow 90 minutes. 1 p.m. Lunch at La Boqueria/Bar Pinocho, paella or fideuà. 3 p.m. Gothic Quarter walk, Cathedral, Plaça Sant Felip Neri, Carrer Paradís. 4:30 p.m. Casa Batlló, allow 75 minutes. 6 p.m. Picasso Museum, allow 90 minutes. 8 p.m. Vermut and tapas at El Xampanyet or Quimay and Quimay. 10 p.m. Rooftop bar or Razzmatazz. Midnight. One last walk through the empty, lit Gothic Quarter before bed. To summarize, Barcelona doesn't need your sympathy or approval. It's a 2,000-year-old Mediterranean port that's been Roman, Visigothic, a medieval maritime power. And, for one extraordinary generation around 1900, the site of the most original architecture Europe produced in the modern era. Gaudí is still here, beneath his own unfinished basilica. Picasso is here too, in the museum he built from exile. The pockmarks are still in the wall at Plaça Sant Felip Neri. The vermut is still poured at El Xampanyet the way it was in 1929. Some cities want to be understood. Barcelona has never much cared either way. It knows exactly what it is. Subscribe for hidden gems and insightful travel stories. I'm your travel Shifu. See you in the next city.